Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can get us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com. I want to show you today a Robo Force robot telephone. And I guess if you wanted to call this vintage or an original or whatever, this telephone has some age on it, and it is a robot telephone. And I have already looked in this telephone a little bit, and we're going to show you a few things with it. This is initial checkout. Here the customer put no transmitter. So evidently, give you a shot of the side here. In the back. Pretty cool robot phone. Here's a top view. And basically, so they're saying it does not transmit, or they can't talk with it. I noticed a couple of things when we took this telephone apart. Number one, this board here that you see with this piezo buzzer on it basically gets bolted to the body of the telephone here. Okay, so what that leaves in a sense is this microphone element right here. This mic element stands up off the board with some metal. And what the ideal in the design was that it would fit into this microphone hole right here. And when you put the body and the board together, the microphone does go into the hole, but it does not go down all the way. So right there is kind of a design failure, because what's going to happen is the microphone should be all the way in the hole, because they only give you one little tiny hole here for the sound to come through so you can transmit. So it's kind of a design failure. Also, these mics can get, they get some things built up on them from people talking on them. They get dirt on them and stuff like that. But they can also get, through time, they're not as sensitive as they were. Generally, these microphones will start having, they won't be picking up like they used to pick up when they were brand new, so from age and things. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to change the design. I'm going to take a new microphone, and we are going to install it totally inside the hole, and then put a little hot glue on it, and then our cord will come out and go to the board where it's supposed to be. And so I'm going to change the design a little bit. And when I see things in like this that need to be changed a little bit on the inside, where we're not, where you don't see any problems or any changes, I like to do that. The other thing is we want to show you real quick. If you don't get these microphones, and I'm going to show you this with a continuity meter. If you don't see any, or if you don't change these microphones and you don't know anything about them and you want to change one, you need to make sure that you pay attention to ground. So I'm going to put my multimeter. I've already put a green indicator, a piece of wire for ground. So we know that's ground. So I can come over here, and if you don't pay attention to the ground on the microphone, and I know you're not going to be able to see this very well, but I'm gonna measure this microphone here. It's got 2 leads on it. Now I've located my ground line on this telephone, and we know which one it is. It's the one on the right if it's laying like this. So it would be going to be this one right here. And I can mark the circuit board a little bit where ground is at. So now what I want to do, so there's no question about transmit, I want to get rid of this microphone altogether that's in here. I know it works a little bit, but it's not as sensitive as it probably should be. And so that's what that looked like. They had that, what we would call in the electronics business, a standoff. They stood off the mic a little bit. And we know this is ground here because it's going to ground. I can see it. So that's the microphone element. And now what we want to do, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can move the solder away from the solder holes with a tool, or you could use some solder wick on it. But either one is simple. We want to make sure our wires and our microphone are twisted together so we don't have any stray strands going to places we don't want them. Let's shove our ground through here. We may have to open that hole up a little bit more. And you don't usually see these robot telephones. I've seen a couple. There's not many of them. So I'm sure collectors go for them. And you don't see too many of them. Once they get a hold of them, they probably put them away. What we want to do now is, like I said, I slid this over as a sleeve. I want to trim the sleeve a little bit and trim our ground. And then we can slide our sleeve back on. Normally this wire would look like this. It's got a coating on it, and then your ground just sticks out, and then you have a coating on your positive. But what we're going to do is we want to put the sleeve back on it now. And I did that for two reasons. I don't want this ground to touch anything else, and that's why I'm putting a sleeve on it. And the green is an indicator to somebody that's in electronics that that's ground. Okay, so now we can stick that into the circuit board. See if we can get this in there. Bend that over a little bit so we can solder it. You want to keep your soldering iron clean so it helps to scrape the tip off of it once in a while. And then it'll solder good for you. Get that soldered up. And we always want to kind of check our solder over. Every time you solder something, you want to kind of make sure that it took good, and that you don't have any cold solder joints. And I've been soldering a long time, and I still check my solder. I could probably do it blindfolded, but I always check it. You get in too big of a hurry and you don't check your solder. I see a lot of things come into the shop that other technicians have gotten a hold of, and it makes me wonder sometimes I've seen beginners solder better than some of the old TV guys, electronics guys. And the reason I say old TV guys is because, you know, that was who was mostly into electronics. But I've seen some of the solder, you know, from some of the jobs that they do on some of the television sets and stuff that I see repaired, and it's a wonder that, you know, because I see cold solder joints. I think maybe it's because they are in the business so long, they just think they can, you know, do it real quick and get away from it, and then it's soldered. But it never hurts to check your solder on this stuff. So that looks good. We want to check our time too, because we're out of time and we're going to have to do another video. So thank you for watching. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone, and goodbye.